What's up guys, welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. And today it will be about classic bodybuilding because this is the first question of the week. So every week I will do a Q&A, and within the questions you asked me for the Q&A, there will be always one very interesting question that requires a separate video because it requires a more detailed answer. And I don't want to make the Q&A video itself very long, so this will be a dedicated video to that question on its own. And the question is, a lot of people ask me this: after the Olympia, has your interpretation of classic bodybuilding changed? And do you agree with the type of classic physique that judges are looking for at the Olympia? And do you think they should be awarding people for having massive legs, even though golden era bodybuilders did not? So this is a loaded question because do I either agree always with what the judges want to see and accommodate what they want? So for example, if the judges truly want a very conditioned person with bigger legs without the true aesthetics of back in the 70s, should I change my physique to accommodate that picture that the judges want to see? In my opinion, this is the truth. Right now, the best classic physique bodybuilder is Brian Angley. Why is he the best? Because besides him, everybody on the bodybuilding stage is showing a weak point. He is the only bodybuilder that doesn't show any weak points overall. He is very conditioned, he has great legs, great upper body, a great back, great arms, which is important for classic bodybuilding regardless, that it's what attracting people. His great presentation, his posing is very good, he always smiles, and he looks good as a man in general. And why do I say the last thing? Back in the day, bodybuilding was actually presented to be the most, to present the most manly man on stage. You had to have a full head of hair, a good looking face to be able to actually attract people to actually look at you. You should be an art form, so everything should be right. Just like kind of in men's physique, someone who doesn't look good overall cannot really win men's physique Olympia, even if your body is amazing. If your entire, physique and face doesn't look as good, your presentation is off, you will not win. But Brian has all the boxes ticked. But some boxes which aren't, concrete, aren't ticked yet, according to certain people. For example, when looking at the golden era of bodybuilding, they are tall bodybuilders who usually do a vacuum pose, who are a dominant force, such as Arnold Schwarzenegger, or, you've got Frank Zane, which is a different kind of classic bodybuilder. You've got Franco Columbu, he's not as tall, of course, but still, he was one of the best classic bodybuilders, as he did win a Mr. Olympia. And you've got Lee Haney, which kind of goes to the 80s, of course. That's a different kind of physique, but still comparable to what the judges want to see, being able to hit a vacuum. Now, some people say that Brian can't hit a vacuum because he doesn't hit a vacuum, but he has a great set of abs. So he doesn't have a weak point, he's just not showing the stronger points that you're able to show as a classic bodybuilder, which is what some people are missing in him. At least that's what I'm reading when I read the comments under his pictures or under different pictures from other classic physique competitors. So there's a group of people who want to see the golden era of bodybuilding, the 70s and a little bit of the 80s, revived to today, which means the conditioning isn't as good as the modern day conditioning. The legs aren't as big, but there's a big, factor in the upper body that is dominant, like a big chest, big arms, wide shoulders, and just looking dominant on stage, while the legs basically don't go in an X form, but more in a Y form, showing a more, flow in the physique. Because sometimes when your legs are too big and you see this in an open class, it is impossible to create a nice flow in your posing. A lot of that happens when they're trying to hit, for example, or a mantis pose like this, or a three-quarter back pose. That one, this one. the flow is gone because the legs are too big, the stomach is too big, and they simply cannot hit the pose right. They're too muscular. So that's why they want to bring back the classic look, because that's what attracts more people. If someone like that walks on the beach, someone might say, hey, if I train hard enough, I could actually become that person. I could actually look like him. When someone of the open class at the Mr. Olympia walks on the beach, you don't immediately think of training. You kind of think of other things of how that person achieved that physique. You know, it doesn't motivate you to train. And when someone like Arnold would walk on the beach, it might motivate most men to actually train to achieve that physique without thinking immediately about other things you would need to do to achieve that mass. In the end, one of the questions was, do you agree with the type of classic physique the judges are looking for at the Olympia? In my opinion, I don't think the judges still have a 100% clear picture of what the best physique could possibly be. I think that if someone that was taller, that had a more wide physique, but with a more proportionate lower body, like bigger legs, more conditioned, could actually be the next winner compared to Brian. If that person doesn't have any weak points to show, it might simply be a too dominant force for Brian to compete against. But right now, Brian is so good that everybody is struggling to compete with him because, as I said, they simply have too many weak points that are exposed when standing next to Brian. And that is something that a lot of potential classic physique Mr. Olympias have to work on, including myself. Like if I stand next to Brian, some body parts can actually compare to him, but the legs are lacking, the conditioning is lacking, for example, the back is lacking. There's too many things lacking to which the judges can say, well, he can't win because Brian simply overpowers him in too many muscle groups. So, after the Olympia, has your interpretation of classic bodybuilding changed? Not of classic bodybuilding, because a lot of people ask me as well, will I change myself? Will I change my physique to adhere to what the judges want to see? As I mentioned, I think the judges simply want to see the best version of the person they could possibly be. So I will not change towards a different direction. I will become a better version of me. Which means that I will accentuate my strong points, the chest, the arms, and the V-taper, the vacuum, the posing will all be better, but especially I will work on the weak points. And that means, first of all, the conditioning. The conditioning, guys, and this struck me actually, because this realization I'm telling you in this video hasn't struck me until a couple of days after Olympia, when I start thinking about what I should do next. So after the Olympia, one day after, I didn't speak to any judges until I happened to stumble across one in the elevator in the casino, in the hotel. He told me I should be more shredded. He said I have a great structure for the class, I have beautiful lines, but in order to actually compete in the Mr. Olympia, I should look a lot more shredded. So that simply is what they want to see. So that is something you cannot argue about. So I need to be more conditioned, right? Okay, that is number one. I was placed a shared 14th place. A lot of people say I was placed last, but it's not entirely true. I had 75 points, shared with I think 3 other people, and then there were like 10 other people with 80 points. So I was kind of around the middle of the class, shared 14th place. However, it's still a low placing, it's not in the top 10. So why would that judge even recognize me, even tell me something to improve? Why would it be interested in telling me something if my entire foundation, my structure doesn't have potential to begin with? Why would he do that? Because I think the judges sitting there do appreciate the fact that I do look like a bodybuilder from the 70s, but with some tweaks here and there, some major improvements here and there as well, I could do very well in the class. And that is what I realized after a couple of days after thinking about everything, that why would someone who places me very low in the field even recognize me or tell me anything? He wants me to improve, to show people what classic bodybuilding is truly about. It's still called classic Physique. And this has been my dream, guys. I didn't want to compete in the open. I'm not interested in being very big. I'm more interested in being classic and building slowly upon what I already have, improving what I have, and showing everybody what classic bodybuilding is truly about. I've been doing this for 11 years. I'm not one of those guys who transforms himself in 2 to 3 years to become this level. I have worked very hard to get here, and I just want to tell you guys that you can do anything that you want. I had no idea at all, even 4 years ago or 5 years ago, that I could ever get on this level. But bodybuilding is about patience and consistency over time. If you're consistent enough and have a goal in mind, you can achieve it no matter what. Screw the genetics. My channel is called Vintage Genetics because you get your genes. Everybody got their genes from their parents. But I am choosing to make them vintage, to look like my idols of the past. And to me, Arnold might be a cliche, but Arnold is my idol. When I look at him posing, his confidence, his presentation, his awesomeness on stage inspires me to try to do the same in my own Wesley Vissers way. So I'm not going to copy him. I'm going to stay myself. But I will focus on that 70s look that everybody loves, but becoming the best version of myself. Because even though some people say that my legs are actually, they look like a bodybuilder, like how a bodybuilder would look in the 70s, but they have to grow to be in proportion with my upper body. I realize that for sure. The quad sweep has to improve. The hamstrings have to become more massive, more detailed. With the conditioning they will, but they need more sweep, more arc, more detail. When that is fixed, when the back has more thickness, when the overall quality, maturity of my physique has increased, I am sure I will have a very good chance of ending up very high in the top shows in the world, including the Olympia. So I'm very motivated to do so. I don't think the judging of classic physique is flawed at all. I simply think there hasn't been anyone good enough in the modern day to truly come with the physique of the 70s that has proper conditioning and proper proportions to win the show right now. So I will do my best to make that happen. I will stay myself and I will stay golden. So let me tell me what you guys think about what I just said in the comments below, what you think about classic physique yourself. And by the way, if you want to check out the actual Q&A video I did with a lot more questions that I answered, check out the video on my channel. It's Q&A 23. And if you have any more questions, perhaps it will be a special question like this one, ask me down below and I will include them in next week's Q&A, and I will again make a separate question of the week video as well. I hope you enjoyed this. I want to thank you for watching, and don't forget to stay golden.